Have you ever felt like someone you care about is slowly slipping away? The calls are less frequent, the conversations feel forced, and something just feels off. But how do you know for sure if someone is losing interest in you, or if it's just in your head? In this video, we'll break down the signs, the reasons behind them, and what you can do next. Stay with me till the end because this might just give you the clarity you need. Relationships, whether romantic or friendships, thrive on mutual effort and connection. But sometimes, people change, priorities shift, and interest fades. The key is recognizing the signs early so you can respond wisely, either by improving the connection or knowing when to walk away. Let's get into the clear signs that someone may be losing interest in you. Interest in relationships, whether romantic, friendships, or professional connections, requires mutual effort. When someone starts losing interest, the energy, enthusiasm, and commitment they once had begin to fade. But why does this happen? Common reasons why interest fades. Life circumstances change, personal issues, career shifts, or emotional struggles can lead to emotional detachment. Emotional disconnection. Sometimes, people simply grow apart over time. New priorities. They may be shifting focus to a new job, a different social circle, or personal growth. Unresolved issues, resentment, misunderstandings, or past conflicts can cause a loss of emotional investment. Lack of effort or boredom. If a relationship becomes routine or stagnant, one person may start to pull away. Interest in someone else. Though painful, sometimes the fading interest is due to them connecting more with another person. Why recognizing these signs matters? It helps you avoid clinging to a relationship that is no longer serving you. It allows you to focus your time and energy on people who genuinely appreciate and care for you. It prevents unnecessary heartbreak by preparing you to either address the problem or walk away with dignity. How to handle it gracefully. Assess the situation objectively. Are their actions a temporary phase, or is this a consistent pattern? Have an honest conversation. Instead of guessing, ask them directly in a calm and non-accusatory way. Don't chase, observe. If they truly value you, they will make an effort to stay. Do not let them go. Prioritize self-respect. If you constantly feel undervalued, it's time to reevaluate the relationship. Excuses, 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 a clear sign of fading interest. When someone is losing interest, they often start making excuses to avoid spending time with you. At first, these excuses might seem reasonable, but over time, you'll notice a pattern. One that suggests they are no longer prioritizing you. Types of excuses people use when losing interest. I've just been so busy lately. This is the most common excuse, and while being busy is understandable, people make time for what they truly value. If they used to make an effort before but now never seem to have a free moment, it's a red flag. A person genuinely interested in you will find time, even if it's just a quick call or text. Something came up. Last-minute cancellations. If they frequently cancel plans at the last minute with vague reasons, it's a sign they aren't prioritizing you. Emergencies happen, but constant cancellations show a lack of consideration. Watch if they reschedule enthusiastically or simply let the plan die. I'm just really tired, or I don't feel like going out. Everyone has moments of exhaustion, but if they always seem too tired only when it comes to spending time with you, it's a problem. If they have energy for other activities but not for you, that speaks volumes. I forgot. Forgetting something important once or twice is human. But if they consistently forget about your plans, calls, or even special occasions, it shows a lack of effort. You shouldn't have to remind someone to care about you. Let's play it by ear, or I'll let you know. This is a classic way of avoiding commitment to plans without outright rejecting them. They keep things vague so they have the option to back out easily. If they rarely follow up or actually make the plan happen, they're likely not invested anymore. How to handle it when someone keeps making excuses. Don't ignore the pattern. One excuse here and there is normal, but constant excuses show disinterest. Communicate openly. Ask them directly if something has changed instead of assuming. Pull back and observe. Stop initiating and see if they make an effort. If they don't, you have your answer. Know your worth. You deserve people who genuinely want to spend time with you, not those who keep stringing you along. One of the biggest indicators that someone is losing interest in you is a shift in how they communicate. When a person genuinely cares, conversations are engaging, thoughtful, and meaningful. But when interest fades, communication becomes shallow, forced, or even non-existent. How conversations change when someone loses interest. 1. They stop asking about your life. They used to ask about your day, your feelings, and your plans, but now they barely show curiosity. Conversations feel like a checklist rather than a genuine exchange of thoughts and emotions. They no longer remember or follow up on things you've told them before. 2. Their responses become short and distant. Instead of engaging replies, you get one-word answers like okay, cool, or yeah. It feels like they're just responding out of politeness, not because they're genuinely interested. You try to keep the conversation going, but they don't contribute much. 3. They no longer share personal thoughts or feelings. They used to open up about their emotions, dreams, and struggles, but now they keep things surface level. If they only talk about things like the weather, sports, or work but never anything deeper, they might be emotionally checking out. True connection requires vulnerability, and when that disappears, the bond weakens. 4. They're always distracted when talking to you. They used to give you their full attention, but now they seem disengaged. Conversations feel rushed, or they multitask while talking to you. They constantly check their phone, seem bored, or respond with generic phrases that show they weren't really listening. 5. You feel like you're talking to a stranger. Their tone is colder, and they no longer speak with the same warmth or excitement. They don't laugh at your jokes or respond to you with the same energy they used to. You sense an emotional distance that wasn't there before. How to handle shallow conversations. Test their engagement. Try sharing something personal or meaningful. Do they engage or just brush it off? Communicate openly. Ask them if everything is okay and express that you feel a shift in the way you talk. Give them space. Sometimes people go through phases. Pull back slightly and see if they notice or miss the deeper conversations. Match their effort. If they aren't interested in meaningful conversations, don't force it. Focus on people who genuinely care. Their body language and energy shift the unspoken truth. People can say all the right words, but their body language and energy never lie. When someone starts losing interest in you, their physical cues and overall energy will subtly, but noticeably, change. You might not always hear them say they're pulling away, but you'll feel it in how they act around you. Signs their body language and energy have shifted. 1. They avoid eye contact. When someone is engaged and interested, they naturally maintain eye contact. If they start looking away often, avoiding direct eye contact, or constantly glancing at their phone or surroundings, it's a sign of emotional disconnection. Their eyes don't light up when they see you like they used to. 2. They seem distracted or distant. Their body feels closed off, crossed arms, leaning away, fidgeting. When you talk, they don't lean in or react as they used to. Their attention seems elsewhere, even if they're physically present. 3. They no longer mirror your movements. When two people are connected, they unconsciously mimic each other's gestures, tone, and posture. If they used to match your energy and now they don't, it could be a sign of fading interest. 4. They don't smile or laugh as much around you. They used to laugh at your jokes and smile effortlessly in your presence. Now, their facial expressions feel neutral or forced, and they don't engage in playful moments. Conversations feel more like an obligation than something enjoyable. 5. Physical touch decreases, if applicable. They no longer initiate hugs, hand-holding, or casual touches. If you reach out, they might pull away slightly or seem uncomfortable. Even if it's a friendship, physical cues like pats on the back or friendly nudges may lessen. 6. They position themselves away from you. Instead of facing you directly, they may turn their body away during conversations. They sit farther away than usual, even when there's space closer to you. They don't engage in small, warm gestures like fixing your hair or adjusting your clothing. What to do when you notice these signs? Don't take it personally right away. Their change in energy could be temporary. Stress, personal struggles, or other factors might be affecting them. Observe the pattern. Is this behavior consistent, or was it just a bad day? Communicate openly. If something feels off, ask them directly in a non-confrontational way. Match their energy. If they're pulling away, don't force connection. Let them show whether they still value your presence. They don't prioritize you anymore, a major sign of fading interest. When someone truly values you, they make time for you, no matter how busy life gets. Prioritization isn't about having endless free time. It's about making an effort to stay connected. When someone starts losing interest, you'll notice a shift in where you stand in their life. Signs you're no longer a priority. 1. They no longer initiate plans. They used to be the one to suggest meetups or check in on you, but now, if you don't reach out, there's silence. When you ask to make plans, they respond vaguely, let's see, maybe later, or I'll let you know. If they do make plans, they don't follow through or seem excited about them. 2. You're always an afterthought. They include others in their plans but forget to invite you. When they talk about their schedule, it's clear they prioritize work, friends, hobbies, everything but you. If you ask for a favor or support, they act too busy, but they make time for others. 3. Conversations feel like a duty, not a desire. They used to text or call you just to check in, but now communication only happens when necessary. You feel like you're the only one trying to keep the conversation alive. Responses are delayed, short, or feel like they're just getting it over with. 4. They put minimal effort into special occasions. They used to celebrate your birthday, accomplishments, or milestones, but now they barely acknowledge them. Thoughtful gestures have disappeared, and any effort they put in feels like an obligation rather than genuine excitement. When you bring up something important to you, they seem indifferent. 5. They prioritize others over you. They'll drop everything for their other friends, work, or even strangers, but when you need them, they always have an excuse. They make time for social media, gaming, or other distractions but can't spare a moment for you. You feel like you're constantly competing for their time and attention. How to respond when someone stops prioritizing you. Take a step back. If they're not making an effort, stop chasing them. Have an honest conversation. Ask them directly if something has changed in the relationship. Match their energy. If they're giving you less, don't overcompensate by doing more. Know your worth. You deserve to be a priority in someone's life, not an option. They're more irritable or distant, a shift in attitude. When someone is losing interest in you, one of the most noticeable changes is in their attitude. They become more irritable, distant, or emotionally unavailable. What once felt like a warm connection can start to feel cold and uncomfortable. Signs of increased irritability or emotional distance. 1. They're easily annoyed by small things. What used to be funny or endearing now seems to irritate them. They snap at you over minor issues, or they become frustrated by things that didn't bother them before. The warmth they once showed seems replaced with impatience or intolerance. 2. Conversations feel tense or forced. They no longer respond to you with excitement or curiosity. Instead, you notice a flat or uninterested tone. Every conversation feels like it's about to boil over, and they act as if they're being dragged into it. They seem less engaged even when you're talking about important things. 3. They become emotionally withdrawn. They start retreating into themselves, leaving you with little to no emotional connection. If they used to share their thoughts, feelings, or personal updates, now they seem closed off or avoidant. Even when you try to reach out emotionally, they seem uninterested or dismissive. 4. They don't acknowledge or respond to your emotions. When you share your feelings, whether happy or upset, they seem detached or uncaring. They no longer make an effort to comfort you during tough times or celebrate your successes. You feel like you're talking to a wall or that your emotions aren't important to them anymore. 5. They are less affectionate or attentive. If they were once loving, giving you affection and attention, now you feel invisible. They might pull away when you try to be affectionate or avoid intimate moments altogether. Your needs for emotional connection are ignored or brushed aside. How to address this change in behavior? Don't take it personally right away. Sometimes, external stressors or personal challenges may cause someone to pull away. Give them space. If they're distant, don't push them for closeness. Allow them time to process their emotions. Have a calm, honest conversation. If their irritability and distance continue, it's time to talk. Ask them if something has changed, but avoid being accusatory. Take care of yourself. Don't let their emotional distance affect your sense of self-worth. Focus on your own well-being. They're more irritable or distant. A deeper look into emotional withdrawal. When someone you care about starts becoming irritable or emotionally distant, it's a clear sign that something has changed, whether it's within the relationship or with them personally. These shifts can feel confusing and painful, but understanding the deeper reasons behind this behavior can help you navigate the situation. Why people become more irritable or distant. 1. Emotional exhaustion or stress. Sometimes, external stress, work, family issues, personal struggles, can cause someone to withdraw emotionally. They may be so overwhelmed by life's challenges that they have nothing left to give emotionally, and as a result, they start to snap more easily. In these cases, their behavior isn't necessarily about you, but about how they're feeling internally. 2. Unresolved conflict or resentment. If there have been unresolved issues or unspoken tension between you, they might withdraw emotionally as a defense mechanism. Rather than confronting their feelings or discussing problems, they become irritable and distant to avoid the discomfort. Resentment can build over time if issues are not addressed, leading to emotional distance. 3. Loss of connection or interest. Sometimes, irritability and distance are signs that they're losing interest but don't know how to communicate it. Instead of being direct about their fading feelings, they resort to irritability or pulling away as a way to emotionally distance themselves. This may also happen if they feel they've grown apart from you or if they feel like the relationship no longer serves them. 4. Emotional safety or vulnerability issues. If they feel vulnerable or emotionally unsafe in the relationship, they may distance themselves to protect their own feelings. This can be especially true if they've been hurt in the past and are afraid of opening up again. Their irritability may come from an underlying fear of getting hurt, causing them to withdraw instead of confronting their emotions. Signs they're becoming more irritable or distant. 1. Shortened responses and increased tension. Conversations are filled with short, curt answers. You feel like they're just giving you enough to get by but not really engaging. There's an obvious shift in the tone of their voice. Less warmth, less enthusiasm, and more coldness. The atmosphere in your conversations starts to feel tense, as if every word is being carefully measured. 2. They avoid emotional topics or conversations. When the conversation turns serious or emotional, they deflect, avoid, or change the subject. They don't want to talk about feelings, and if you try to express yours, they act as if it's not a big deal. There's a noticeable shift from deep, meaningful discussions to shallow exchanges. 3. They don't share their own feelings anymore. If they used to open up about their emotions, challenges, or experiences, now they keep everything to themselves. When you try to engage them in emotional conversations, they shut down, retreat, or give generic answers like, "I'm fine." Their personal thoughts and feelings seem increasingly unavailable to you. 4. Body language becomes closed or defensive. They might cross their arms when talking, turn their body away, or avoid physical contact. Any attempt at emotional connection feels met with resistance. Their posture and facial expressions become more distant and less welcoming. 5. You're left feeling alone or neglected. Despite being physically present, you feel emotionally alone. You sense a gap between you and them, as if an invisible wall has gone up. You try to reach out, but it feels like you're always being met with resistance or disinterest. The warmth and connection that once existed seem to have faded, leaving you questioning what happened. How to handle irritability and emotional distance. Be compassionate, not confrontational. If they're dealing with stress or personal issues, approach them with empathy. Avoid accusing them of being distant. Instead, offer a safe space for them to share what's going on. Ask, don't assume if their behavior is changing, directly ask how they're feeling without pressuring them. Frame your words in a way that invites an open conversation, not an interrogation. Respect their space. Sometimes, emotional distance is a sign that they need time to process their feelings. Allow them space but also set boundaries about how much emotional distance is okay for you. Address the core issue. If their irritability is a symptom of deeper issues, it's important to address the root cause together. This may involve working through past conflicts, rebuilding emotional safety, or even having a difficult conversation about the future of your relationship. Motivational takeaway. They're more irritable or distant, understanding the emotional shift. When someone you care about becomes irritable or emotionally distant, it can be disorienting and hurtful. These emotional changes often come with subtle, and sometimes not so subtle, signs that they are no longer as invested in the relationship as they once were. Irritability and distance aren't always easy to identify as clear signals of disinterest, but they often represent deeper emotional shifts. Reasons why someone becomes irritable or distant. 1. Emotional fatigue or stress. Life stressors like work, family, or personal struggles can cause someone to become emotionally drained. When they're overwhelmed, they might not have the emotional capacity to show up as their usual selves. If this is the case, their irritability may have more to do with their own struggles than with anything you've done. 2. Unspoken resentment or frustration. If conflicts have been avoided or unresolved, resentment can build up. They may withdraw emotionally as a form of self-protection, or they become irritable to avoid deeper conversations. The emotional distance here is a defense mechanism to shield themselves from confronting difficult feelings. 3. Fading interest or loss of connection. Sometimes, when someone begins to lose interest, they can't face the reality of it and become emotionally withdrawn. Instead of expressing their feelings directly, they might become irritable or distant, creating emotional distance to avoid facing the truth of their changing emotions. This distance is often not something you can fix on your own. It's a sign that their emotional investment has started to fade. 4. Avoidance of vulnerability. For some, emotional withdrawal is a way of avoiding vulnerability. They may feel uncomfortable expressing their emotions, especially if they're unsure about how they feel or don't want to hurt you. This behavior can stem from fear of confrontation, fear of making things worse, or fear of admitting that they are not as emotionally invested anymore. Signs they're becoming more irritable or distant. 1. They respond with short, sharp replies. They used to engage deeply in conversations, but now their responses feel curt or irritated. A simple yes or okay replaces more thoughtful replies, and the warmth in their tone fades. You may even notice an edge to their responses that wasn't there before. 2. They seem easily frustrated. Small things you do or say that never bothered them before now trigger frustration or annoyance. What was once an easy, enjoyable exchange now feels tense, with you walking on eggshells to avoid angering them. They might seem irritated even when you're asking for something simple, like their time or attention. They avoid emotional conversations. When you try to open up emotionally or discuss deeper topics, they shut down. They may deflect, change the subject, or give one-word answers. They no longer seem willing to share their thoughts or feelings, even though they might have done so in the past. 4. They physically withdraw or avoid contact. They pull away physically, avoiding hugs, touch, or even eye contact. Sitting further apart or constantly distracted by their phone or other things becomes the new norm. You may notice them stepping back in conversations, avoiding closeness or connection. 5. They seem detached or uninterested in your life. They no longer ask about your day or seem engaged when you share something important with them. Conversations that were once filled with curiosity or care are now met with indifference or distraction. They act like they're not invested in your life anymore, even though you're still trying to connect. How to address irritability or emotional distance. Give space and time. Sometimes, people need time to process their emotions or deal with external pressures. Respect their space but keep an eye on whether their distance continues for a prolonged period. Have a calm, honest conversation. Approach them gently and ask how they're feeling. Express your concern, but avoid sounding accusatory. Be ready to listen without judgment. Don't chase their attention. If they are pulling away, don't continue chasing them. It's important to protect your own emotional well-being and not allow yourself to be constantly drained. Recognize the signs of fading interest. If their irritability or distance persists, it might be time to face the reality that their interest has waned. It's painful, but it's better to know where you stand. What you can do if you notice these signs: taking control of the situation. When you begin to notice signs that someone is becoming distant or losing interest, whether through their body language, communication, or emotional shifts, it's easy to feel powerless. But recognizing these signs is only the first step. The next part is taking action to either address the situation or protect your own emotional well-being. Here are some proactive steps you can take if you notice these changes. 1. Reflect on your own feelings and needs. Before jumping into action, take a moment to reflect on what you need from the relationship. Ask yourself, how do I feel about this relationship? Do I feel valued and appreciated? What do I need emotionally right now, and am I getting that from this person? Understanding your own feelings will guide your next steps. If you find that the relationship is no longer fulfilling, it might be time to focus more on yourself. 2. Communicate openly and honestly. Once you've processed your own emotions, it's time to have a conversation. It's important to approach the situation calmly and without blame. Be direct but gentle. Ask if there's something going on that has caused them to act distant or irritable. Avoid accusations like, "You don't care about me anymore," and instead focus on your feelings. "I've noticed that we've been distant lately, and I'm concerned about our connection." Be open to listening. There might be external factors, stress, work, personal struggles, causing them to behave this way. A thoughtful conversation can often reveal underlying reasons for their behavior, whether it's personal issues they're dealing with or a lack of emotional connection with you. 3. Allow them space to process. Sometimes, people need space to figure out what's going on in their own lives. If they need time to deal with personal struggles or emotions, give them room to breathe. Respect their need for space but set clear boundaries about what you need. For example, "I'm happy to give you space, but I need to know that we're still important to each other." Don't chase them. Let them reach out to you when they're ready. Constantly seeking their attention can push them further away. 4. Reevaluate the relationship. If the distance continues for an extended period and communication doesn't improve, it may be time to reassess the relationship. Ask yourself, is this relationship still serving my needs? Am I giving more than I'm receiving emotionally? Is it worth putting more effort into, or is it time to let go? Sometimes, relationships reach a point where one person's emotional withdrawal is irreversible, and continuing to try might cause more harm than good. It's important to prioritize your own emotional health and be willing to move forward if the relationship is no longer mutually fulfilling. 5. Set healthy boundaries. If their behavior is causing you emotional distress, it's essential to set boundaries to protect yourself. Don't tolerate emotional neglect. Let them know how their distance or irritability is affecting you. Avoid self-blame. Understand that their distance may have little to do with your actions and more to do with what's happening inside them. Give yourself permission to step back if the relationship is no longer bringing joy or fulfillment into your life. 6. Focus on your own well-being. While it's important to address the relationship, don't lose sight of your own emotional needs. Engage in self-care. Spend time with supportive friends and family, focus on your hobbies, and prioritize your own mental health. Build your confidence. You deserve to be in a relationship where you feel valued and appreciated. Don't let anyone's emotional withdrawal make you question your worth. Strengthen your independence. Embrace activities that bring you joy outside of the relationship. This will give you a sense of fulfillment and perspective. 7. Let go if necessary. If you've tried everything, honest communication, giving space, and self-reflection, and nothing has improved, it might be time to accept that the relationship is no longer working. Letting go doesn't mean failure. Sometimes two people grow apart, and that's okay. Give yourself permission to move on. You deserve to be with someone who is emotionally available and willing to invest in the relationship. Trust that better things are ahead. By letting go, you open space for new relationships that are healthier, more balanced, and fulfilling. If you're dealing with this situation, you might be wondering, what's next? How do you move on or rebuild your self-worth after feeling rejected? I've got just the video for you. Click here, insert video title, How to Rebuild Your Confidence After Someone Pulls Away, and Take Back Your Power. You deserve happiness, and I'll help you get there.